"You're just a barber, don't interfere with aviation matters," the airport security chief told the elderly man. Tony quietly looked at the control panel and picked up his microphone. "Tower, this is Controller Thompson. With 30 years of experience, I'm telling you that aircraft is approaching wrong. From which city in the world are you watching this story today? If stories like this move you, consider subscribing to Unseen Legends for more tales of quiet heroes walking among us." Thursday afternoon, 2:45 p.m. The barbershop in El Segundo neighborhood near Los Angeles International Airport was quiet. Tony Thompson, 68 years old, was cutting his last customer's hair. In his white apron, thick glasses, and calm movements, he looked like an ordinary neighborhood barber. He had been running this small shop for 12 years, and to most customers he was a familiar figure. Nobody knew Tony's past. To them, he was just friendly Tony, patiently cutting hair, listening to neighborhood gossip, patting children's heads, chatting with elderly customers. No one knew that between 1975 and 2005, he had been one of Los Angeles International Airport's most experienced air traffic controllers. But this afternoon, a sound caught Tony's attention. After the ambulance sirens passing by his shop, the distant jet engine sounds were different than normal. Tony had heard these sounds for 30 years. This aircraft was in trouble. He turned on his radio. He always listened to LAX frequencies, an old habit. "Mayday, Mayday, United Airlines Flight 892, engine failure, emergency landing requested." Tony's hands trembling, he turned off his hair clipper. A Boeing 737 carrying 214 passengers was trying to make an emergency landing with a single engine. LAX Tower to United 892, runway 25R cleared for emergency landing. But Tony could hear panic in the controller's voice. It was an inexperienced controller, evident from his voice. "United 892, wind 280 degrees at 18 knots, visibility 10 miles. He was giving wrong information. Tony knew the weather data. Wind was blowing from 240 degrees at 22 knots. This difference could cause an aircraft to crash. His customer looked worried. "Tony, is everything all right?" "Just some aviation traffic problems, sir. I'll finish right away." While Tony made final touches to the hair, he was making calculations in his mind. United 892's approach speed, wind factor, runway length, everything was being calculated wrong. After the customer left, Tony turned up the radio volume. "United 892, approach at 3,000 feet, requesting final vectors. Cleared ILS approach runway 25R, contact tower 120.95. Tony knew this approach was wrong. In current wind conditions, the aircraft would miss the runway. An airport security vehicle passed by the shop door. Tony quickly ran outside. "Wait," he shouted. Security Chief Michael Davis got out of his vehicle. "What's wrong, Tony?" "United 892 is making an emergency landing, but the approach vectors are wrong." Michael was surprised. "How do you know?" "I'm listening to the radio. The controller is giving wrong wind information." "You're a barber, Tony. Don't interfere with aviation matters." "Michael, that plane is going to crash. There are 214 people inside. Professionals are handling it." Tony insisted. "I was also a professional. I worked in LAX control tower for 30 years. Michael froze. "What?" "I was an air traffic controller from 1975 to 2005. "Are you serious?" "Very serious. And right now that controller is endangering 214 people." Michael was uncertain, but Tony's seriousness convinced him. "So what can we do?" "Take me to the control tower. I can intervene with emergency authority." They got in the security vehicle and headed quickly to the airport. Tony explained the situation on the way. "United 892 is coming with single engine, heavy load, low speed. In current wind conditions, it should be directed to runway 07L, not 25R. "How do you know?" "Because I directed thousands of emergency landings for 30 years. I know these situations by heart." When they arrived at the control tower, there was chaos. The young controller was panicking. The supervisor was shouting. Everyone was confused. "What's happening?" Michael asked. The supervisor turned. "United 892 will land in 5 minutes, but the pilot can't follow our guidance." Tony stepped forward. "I can help." "Who are you?" "Tony Thompson. I worked in this tower for 30 years. The supervisor recognized him. "Tony, but you retired." "Emergency situation. That plane needs help to land properly." "Okay, the microphone is yours." Tony took position. He was back in the control tower after 12 years, but those reflexes had never left. "United 892, this is LAX Tower, new controller. Please confirm your current altitude and speed." "LAX Tower, United 892, we're at 2,500 feet, speed 180 knots, single engine approach." Tony's voice was calm and authoritative. Pilots trusted such voices. "United 892, weather update, wind 2040 degrees at 22 knots, runway 07L, now available for your approach, will provide better headwind component." "Are you sure, Tower?" "We were cleared for 25R. "Positive, United 892, runway 07L gives you 18-knot headwind versus 15-knot crosswind on 25R. Much safer for single-engine approach." The pilot understood. He had recognized the experienced controller's voice. "Roger, Tower, requesting vectors for runway 07L approach." Tony continued professionally. United 89-2, turn left heading 070, descend to 2,000 feet, vectors for ILS runway 07L approach, left is 070, descending 2,000, United 89-2. Everyone in the tower was watching Tony. After 12 years break, he was working as if he had never stopped. United 89-2, 8 miles from touchdown, turn left heading 065, intercept localizer runway 07L, left is 065, intercepting localizer, United 89-2, United 89-2, runway 07L in sight, cleared ILS approach, contact tower on final, runway in sight, cleared approach, United 89-2. The aircraft entered perfect approach. Tony's calculations were correct. The wind was now in the aircraft's favor. United 89-2, final approach, runway 07L cleared to land, emergency vehicles standing by, cleared to land, United 89-2, thank you tower, excellent vectors. The aircraft landed on the runway with a soft touch, perfect landing. 214 people were safe. Applause erupted in the tower. The supervisor shook Tony's hand. Great job, Tony. You saved that plane. I just did my job. But after 12 years break, some things are never forgotten. The pilot thanked over the radio. LAX Tower, United 89-2. Excellent job on the vectors. That controller saved our lives. Tony turned off his microphone and smiled. It used to be like this every day. Michael asked, Tony, why did you never mention this? Because it stayed in the past. Now I cut hair, make people happy. But these abilities are still here, when needed, like today. The LAX director came. Mr. Thompson, would you consider coming back as a part-time consultant? Tony thought, maybe I could train young controllers, but not full-time. When he returned to the barbershop, everything was different. Neighborhood residents had heard the news. Mrs. Garcia approached. Tony, we saw it on TV. Were you really a pilot? Air traffic controller Mrs. Garcia, not pilot, but you saved that plane. It was teamwork. Young customer Jake asked, Mr. Tony, did you really guide aircraft? For 30 years, Jake. But now I cut hair. Both are serving people. Would you teach me aviation? Tony thought, maybe the next chapter of retirement could be teaching. Sure, Jake. First lesson, always stay calm. Second lesson, teamwork is the most important thing. Offers kept coming from LAX, but Tony had found the perfect solution. 2 days a week training at the airport, 4 days working in the barbershop, the most unusual barber in El Segundo, the man who saves aircraft while cutting hair. And the truth was, Tony loved both. Sometimes the most extraordinary people hide in the most ordinary places. Men like Tony cut hair in neighborhoods, but their reflexes still save lives. Their skills don't rust. Their training doesn't sleep. The next time you see an ordinary barber, remember, they might be protecting you in ways you never imagined. Have you ever met someone who appeared ordinary, but had an extraordinary background? Tell us in the comments. And if you want to hear more stories about quiet experts like Tony Thompson, subscribe to Unseen Legends, because sometimes the best safety is hidden in the neighborhood barber. This story is a work of fiction created to honor the spirit of service. Any resemblance to actual persons or events is purely coincidental.